Hey, welcome to Fandom Post Radio. It's just me and DJ.
Hooray!
I'm Kestrel, by the way. Hey, DJ, you haven't been on this podcast in over a month. Has anything significant happened in that time?
Has anything significant happened in the last... Has it really been over a month since I've been on the podcast? That seems not true.
It is true because we don't record anymore. So we had an episode... late June, but not this late.
Jeez.
And then we had only 2 episodes before this in the month of July, and they were 2 nights in a row. One was just me and Kate, and then the other one was the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Wild. Well, yeah, a couple significant things have actually happened. I'm a full-time writer now, so that's cool. Lessons of Love is making me good money. And people seem to enjoy it. That's the first of 2 significant things, and the second one is much more significant concerning the life of Kestrel, and that is that I have finally started watching Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. That is the thing that I am watching now. And
I'm glad I didn't have to hint towards what the 2 things were at all. You were immediately on the same page.
I know exactly what they are.
I didn't even say it was 2 things, did I? You knew exactly what was on my mind.
I knew though, because those are the only 2 significant things that have happened in my life.
That's fair, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking Fullmetal Alchemist. It's I mean, I knew I was going to like it, but now I have confirmed that. And I'm only like 5 episodes in. Mm-hmm. But there hasn't been anything that I've Actually, there is one. I do have one minor qualm with it, and I don't know if it's something that'll just wind up going away over time. But I'm getting a little tired of the mistaking Alphonse as the Fullmetal Alchemist bit that they have going on, because it's like 3 or 4 times every episode, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, most of those gags fall off after the first core.
I expected as much, because it's kind of just, it's like setting the stage right now. But that's literally the only complaint I have, and even that's fishing for something to complain about.
Right. That was a big theme of our podcast, was that everyone was like, yeah, this is the only complaint I can think of, and considering, how much there is to the series, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So
I do want to point out that, we had a nice 2.5-hour discussion on Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I made sure that the first hour was spoiler-free, specifically for the purpose of trying to get DJ to finally watch it. And then he immediately turns around and starts watching it, not at all because of any of us. Didn't even listen to the first hour, but because his girlfriend put it on.
Yeah, she just went for it at the right moment, and I was like, all right, this is a thing that my life is turning into now, and I don't regret it. And I don't know when I'm gonna go back and listen to that episode. I don't know if I want to do it like right away or if I want to do it after I finish. I will have more time to watch things in the very near future, so that's cool. But it's very impressive to me that you guys were able to manage to talk about it for an hour and a half without spoiling anything. That seems impressive. An hour. Either way, that's a long time to talk about something without spoiling anything.
Yeah, it was like the beginning was kind of each of us talking about our experience with the franchise, so that might have been like half hour.
Gotcha. And I'm sure you had plenty to say on that matter anyway, so...
yeah, I had plenty to say in general. As you might imagine.
They
had to cut me off after 2.5 hours.
Immediately just think of Kestrel whenever I think of Fullmetal Alchemist now, so...
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew you'd be happy when I sent the picture of, the first episode.
But also offended. Because, god damn it, this happens with a bunch of friends of mine. I'll, tell them to watch some anime, or just anime in general, for years, and then they're like, oh, hey, I got a girlfriend, and she's into anime, so I'm watching all this shit now. Damn it.
Oh, great. Yeah, thanks. Shows how much you care.
Yeah. So I see where I stand.
No, I mean, if you had some influence over the decision, because as she put it on, I was like, well, Kestrel will be happy about this.
All right, I'll take it.
That's my first thought.
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about some news first. My first thing that I wanted to mention isn't really like a news story, but it's just something I wanted to acknowledge, which is the Haikyuu manga ended, joining some other long-running Weekly Shonen Jump manga that have ended in the past few weeks to months, which the previous ones were Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, and Promised Neverland. So this is significant because it was the second longest running regularly published Weekly Shonen Jump manga after One Piece.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea Haikyuu was that long.
Well, so it's relative, because, like, it's 15 years newer than One Piece. So there's a 15-year gap between One Piece and everything else, and now it's a 17-year gap. And I'm not counting Hunter x Hunter, which only started a year after One Piece, because, you know, it's certainly not regularly published. Mm-hmm. And, in fact, it didn't even hit 400 chapters, which Haikyuu surpassed, despite starting 14 years after it.
Jesus.
Yep.
That is very regularly published.
Yeah. So it was running for, 8 years, so that makes sense. 50 chapters a year. So now the next longest running is My Hero Academia, which started 2 years later in 2014.
Oh my god. Yeah. That's the second longest running one? That's weird.
Yeah, not counting Hunter x Hunter.
That show's still a baby. The series is still a baby.
I mean, yeah, the show started 4 years ago, and the manga 6 years ago.
And I feel like barely anything has happened yet.
I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, things have happened, but it still seems like very, like, not even close to the middle of the iceberg for what I expect the series will be.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's 6 years in for the manga, which is, you know, past where the anime is, and One Piece is 15 years in, or, 20... There's 15 more than Haikyuu, right? So,
at least for
23 years in.
I haven't read the manga at all, but at least in terms of the show, we're on season 4, and we're like 3 or 4 months into their school year. Like,
it is kind of
barely any time has gone by.
Yeah. It's the same thing with One Piece. Like, there's a time skip in there. I assume everyone knows that by now, but other than that, people have calculated, like, how long the crew has actually, like, spent time together in the story that we've seen. And it's, like, a few months. Like, it's less than a year in the 23 years of content we've got.
Jeez, wow, that makes Nami's transformation that much more terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, again, there is a 2-year time skip, but certainly her cup size grows, you know, several letters a month, I would say.
Wow, that's several letters a month.
Maybe not quite that extreme, but somewhere in that area.
She's an X zone by now.
Right.
The size quadruple 0 waist.
I do find it hilarious that you refer to My Hero Academia as being a baby when it's literally the longest anime you've seen.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that way. It's still like I have a hard time grasping that I've watched like 70 plus episodes of that show. It just doesn't feel like it. Like, I still feel like Shakugan no Shano is longer, but I watched that. No, not even over a longer period of time. I think it was because I watched it like in 1 year that it just seemed like so much. Mm-hmm. But I've spread My Hero out over like 2 going on 3, I think now. So I don't know. It's just become a part of life rather than something I consume all at once, and I think that makes it seem shorter than it actually has been.
Yeah.
I'm all about it, though. It's good.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that. And then next couple pieces of news are kind of tied together. One is that Amazon has delisted some light novels and manga on Kindle. And then the other is that Kinokuniya in Australia has pulled some manga series from their shelves after an Australian politician was complaining about them as sexualization of minors.
Australia does that shit all the time. They're like always the first country to ban anything in media, and it's just annoying. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to me. Like, I don't think of their culture as that different from ours. So I wouldn't expect it.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it either, but when you look at their track record with banning video games, pretty much like every game is banned or highly censored over there. And I don't know, that's just a thing they do. So that sucks for Kinokuniya's Australia branches, which they apparently have, but I was not aware of.
I mean, yeah, why not? It's a Japanese chain and they have, American stores, so why not Australia?
It's just I'm still, I guess, learning the size of Kinokuniya in general, because there were barely any of them in New Jersey. And as soon as I moved to Texas, they built one 5 minutes away. So now I'm like, hell yeah, this is that place that I would go to when I went to New York City. And I've just never seen it outside of those two places, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're pretty limited in America. I've certainly never seen one outside of New York City.
They're fucking so good. I love it.
Oh, I know. Yeah. The first time we went to Anime NYC, I had been to New York City a million times before that, but that was the first time that I had been just walking around with my anime fan friends. And so we went to Kinokuniya, and yeah, I was like, this is what I want my house to be. I would like to live here.
Yeah, I freaked as soon as I found out they were building one. And now before coronavirus happened, we'd go there pretty much every weekend and see what shit they had. But now we can't. Mm-hmm. So rip.
Yeah, I hope one day people can go outside and do stuff again, and that'd
be nice.
Sometime after that, I will move to some place that has things, because I enjoy things.
I haven't had go-go curry in 6 months. I'm fucking dying, man.
Yeah, let's see. I had it in New York City. That's another thing that I only get when I'm in New York City. So that was, 8 months ago, 8.5 months. And before that, it was 2 years ago, the last time I was there.
I want to go to that if it happens again this year.
What?
Anime NYC.
It's not going to happen this year. Are you crazy?
That's what? They do it in November, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what if, a miracle happens?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I can't remember if they've already canceled it, but they should.
Coronavirus just leaves.
I think, Crunchyroll was the latest to confirm that, their convention, Crunchyroll Expo, was going to be online only. And I think that's in, September. So, yeah, we're making our way to the fall conventions.
Oh, man. I think Anime Next was, supposed to be a couple weeks ago, and that was canceled. Everything's fucking canceled now. Put the world back to normal. I love staying inside, but I enjoy an occasional anime convention or trip to Kinokuniya. Those are things that I want back.
I do enjoy those things. I also enjoy the idea of going to Japan like I'm supposed to be doing right now, and I'm not.
Yeah, I'm trying to... some friends are trying to convince me to go in April if, it's open by then.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'd feel like such a dick right now being an American going to Japan because of just how they look at how we're handling the situation.
And I think at this point you can't.
That's what I was saying too, but they were able to buy tickets for September, and I was like, I feel weird that you were able to purchase that.
Yeah, so. I feel like you can just buy tickets and the airline will wait until the day of to cancel it.
That's shitty.
Yeah. But I mean, if they cancel it, then you get a full refund. If they don't and you cancel it yourself, you only get airline credit.
Oh,
which is what I have.
They're trying to sneak money out of people.
Yeah, so I have over $2,000 in United credit between Hawaii and Japan.
Well, I mean, once this is all said and done, it's vacation time, I guess, if you're able to take off long enough of a stretch of time.
Yeah, I mean, we're planning for the Japan trip for, a year from now. Hopefully it'll be fine by then. If not, we'll push it out another year. Whatever.
Did you guys have it planned out where you were going to go? Just the Tokyo area or?
Yeah, we hadn't gotten into that specific of planning yet because, by March it was already pretty shaky.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a spreadsheet with a bunch of different ideas and, each of us would...
Spreadsheet. Formal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And each of us would vote on what we wanted, and so the last column would tally up who voted on each one, and it would sort by that. This is my kind of thing. But anyway,
I like that.
So yeah, we had some obviously we're going to go to the Ghibli Museum, stuff like that, and a bunch of different possibilities. But we hadn't planned out, like, where we're going to be each day or a schedule or anything. But it was generally, like, base it in the Tokyo area and, spread out from there, go to some of the, more rural areas and go to Kyoto and find a, hot spring inn or something.
And was that honeymoon, or was this a different thing that you were just doing in addition to the honeymoon? I can't remember what the plan was on that front.
Yeah, so marriage/honeymoon was Hawaii.
I thought so, yeah.
March, yeah. And then this was going to be Japan with my, anime fan friends in August. Yeah. And yeah, it wasn't going to be feasible for Caitlin to go to that, but maybe next year, if it happens next year, she'll be able to go.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, Becca's trying to come along for my first Japan trip, but I'm like dead set on just going by myself.
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted about it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's the one thing I want to do in my life where it's just like I just want to go to Japan by myself. Like that's all I want. Like after I do that, fine, fucking yeah. Anything, like I'll go with anybody after that. But the first time I want it to be like a me thing.
Just
journey of self-discovery. Like, yeah, literally like just me.
Okay.
Like
see, I don't think I'd go just by myself.
It's probably fucking overwhelming, I imagine.
Yeah. I'm not I don't know, I'm not good at doing things completely independently.
I want to feel like the least touristy I can feel. That's my thing. That's fair.
Have you tried not being white?
Yes. Hasn't worked. Still trying, though.
Yeah. All right, anyway, next piece of news.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of Crunchyroll news as well. Like I mentioned, Crunchyroll Expo is going to be online, which obviously every convention is moving online, and if there's anyone who I trust to handle it, it's Crunchyroll, because kind of their deal is doing online streams. Also, as we may touch upon in our discussion of the season, The God of High School is not only a Crunchyroll original, but it is the first anime to be financed 100% by Crunchyroll. They are the entire production committee. And that may be the first time that has happened with any American company, period. Which is
Have they released the budget at all for that show? Like, are they announcing how much they're spending on it?
No, I don't think you're going to get budget for anime in general.
Well, you get like a general like idea of it. Like most shows are around $1 million, I think.
Yeah, but
episode.
Usually not like, each show you don't get the budget for. Yeah, so I'm not sure about that, but it is interesting that, they are the whole production committee. And then another piece of Crunchyroll news, they have started releasing a new podcast called Anime in America that kind of, chronicles the rise of anime in America. And it's hosted by a comedian who does some other anime podcasts, and he's a pretty good personality to go with the content. And it's interesting stuff, and they're like half-hour episodes, and there's only going to be 8 of them, and they've got some good guests on for different topics, so check that out. Also, they passed 3 million paid subscribers, so congrats to them on that. And the most recent piece of news from them is, unfortunately, virtually all Sentai Filmworks shows, other than pretty new ones, have been removed from Crunchyroll, which is super unfortunate.
Yeah.
They had 77 titles removed as of tomorrow. Yeah.
And those are all going to High Dive, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're already all on High Dive. And
okay, so they're forcing people to subscribe to High Dive now.
Basically, yeah. Which, I'm kind of surprised and pleased that some of the Crunchyroll, or some of the Sentai stuff in the past few seasons has still been getting onto Crunchyroll instead of being exclusive to High Dive. Maybe there are all cases that have had previous seasons on Crunchyroll, and that's why. But it's still nice to see, and a little surprising. But
I like Sorry to interrupt. I don't know if you were done. I was just going to
No,
comment on... I liked what High Dive did with Bang Dream in particular, where they released like 6 episodes way before Crunchyroll got them, so people that were interested in the series would actually go to High Dive for them beforehand. I think that model is something that they could make use of, where it's just like, yeah, we'll keep shit on Crunchyroll, but we'll put shit out super early on High Dive. So give something to both parties. But apparently they don't want to do that.
Yeah, another interesting thing about this, and I don't know if it's just like, Crunchyroll and Sentai are further breaking up. These partnerships are very tumultuous. But High Dive is part of Verve. They kind of took Funimation's spot there, which is why, when Funimation and Crunchyroll broke up, I was like, oh, maybe Sentai will be Funimation's replacement. Who Funimation's replacement is kind of a weird situation because it was announced as Viz, but Viz hasn't had any Crunchyroll home video releases, and instead Discotek has started doing them again. So I don't really know what's going on there, but it's kind of unfortunate in both cases because Discotek doesn't do any like limited editions, and Viz doesn't like release anime. They take like years after announcing something to start releasing it, and then like release 1 volume a year. It's really annoying. So that's probably why we haven't seen any of the Crunchyroll stuff from them.
Remember that sweet like 2 to 3 year stretch where just everything was on Crunchyroll?
Oh, so good. Actually, it's funny. This season is my first almost exclusively Crunchyroll season. Since like the first partnership between Crunchyroll and Funimation. The only thing that I'm watching not on Crunchyroll is the Fugo Keiji, which is on Funimation, and that just started back up yesterday.
I've got 2 shows on that this season, so a 4th of my list I have to go to Funimation for.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. Like that's how it's been for the past year or so.
A handful. And I think like Fruits Basket is on there too, but you don't have to watch it there.
And I think maybe it's either delayed on Funimation or only the dub is on Funimation. I don't know. There's still a lot of those holdouts from Funimation, Crunchyroll license partnerships that are still on Crunchyroll, thankfully, like Fruits Basket, a few others. And that might be, a similar thing with the Sentai shows where it's like, Crunchyroll has had a relationship with these production committees for these shows, so it makes sense that they get the new seasons. But yeah, so since High Dive is on Verve, I don't know if part of the reason for this move is that Crunchyroll also wants more people to use Verve instead. And so, this will get you all the Sentai shows you lost, plus all the Crunchyroll stuff.
How much is the membership for Verve? Because I don't have that.
Let me check. I don't either.
Because if it's like a $5 upgrade, yeah, that's a good idea. But if it's like an unreasonable price,
yeah, it's a pretty good deal, I think, if you're into like anything other than Crunchyroll.
Premium.
Yeah. Fortunately,
$99. $9.99 a month.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
No, I think that is what I pay for Crunchyroll.
No, I think Crunchyroll is $7 or $8, and if you pay a year at a time, it's $5 because it's $60 for a year.
Gotcha. Okay, I can't remember what I did, but either way, like $2 more for an extra catalog. Yeah, please.
The only problem I have with it, so Crunchyroll and Verve like link up, so if you have either, you can watch the content on either.
Oh, cool.
For anything else, though, if it's a Verve membership, you have to watch it on Verve. And I really hate their app that I have used so far. In fact, I had to use it for Crunchyroll stuff for the past couple weeks because the Fire Stick app for Crunchyroll was going down, and sometimes the only way to fix that is uninstall it and reinstall it. So I uninstalled it, and then I searched for it again, and it was gone. It was gone for like 2 weeks. So
I don't know if this is like just a me thing, but I've been having a lot of problems with Crunchyroll in general over the last couple weeks, where it's just like my internet will be fine and I'll be able to stream shit on Netflix and Hulu and Funimation and every other streaming thing fine. But Crunchyroll, it stops and has to buffer like every fucking 2 minutes, and it's really disruptive. It's been annoying me.
Yeah, I don't think I've really run into too many issues with that. At least not any more than I do with any other streaming
just
service.
The last 2 weeks it's been happening. I want it to stop.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with them because, like I said, their app was just gone for 2 weeks, and so I had to use Verve's. And one thing that I wish it did was like synced up your watch history.
Yeah.
So that was kind of annoying, but man, their Fire Stick app is trash. It's like it's much more stable than Crunchyroll's, and it has a pretty good interface. But for the actual streaming quality, it starts off every episode for a few seconds in like shit quality.
Yeah.
Which like the Crunchyroll apps on
it does that too.
Like on PS4 and Roku, they do that for the first minute exactly. Of
like episode. Until like halfway through the opening.
Yeah, it's always exactly a minute, which tells me that their code says check the bandwidth every minute.
Yeah,
that's why it takes a minute. But it's super fucking annoying, and I'm glad I don't use a Roku for it anymore because their Fire Stick app doesn't do that, thankfully. But Verve's biggest problem is not that, because it only lasts for a few seconds. It's that, one, it has like this bizarre tearing going on all the time. Like usually when you have tearing, it's halfway through the screen, either vertical or horizontal, and the two halves get a little out of sync. This has like a weird wave of rectangles throughout the screen that are all out of sync with each other. Yeah, it's really bad and really distracting. And also it seems to drop like, I don't know, 3/4 of the frames. So anytime there's a panning shot, it's just absolutely awful.
That's the worst.
So thankfully I have the Crunchyroll app back, and oh man, I've never appreciated it so much. But anyway, that's the Crunchyroll news. And also, I guess I should mention with all this stuff about, wow, Crunchyroll has crossed 3 million paid subscribers. They're fully funding a very well-animated show, etc., etc. They have notoriously paid their translators bottom-of-the-barrel prices, or wages, rather, since they started over, 12 years ago, legally. And they haven't really increased the wages at all, and it's the worst in the industry, and the industry is the worst of industries, as it is in most cases.
Yeah, that's a weird thing that a lot of like the biggest companies in these sects do, because Manga Gamer's the same way with their translators and editors, and they're like the name for English or for localized visual novels. Yeah, and Crunchyroll is certainly the biggest in their niche. But they pay people the worst. And the Kanipa, I don't know how he pronounces it, Effect YouTube channel, which is Callum May, he did a video on it, which, had a lot of research that he talked to a lot of people who have worked for Crunchyroll and other companies and got all the stats and stuff. So he goes into great detail on that, and it's a good video, so anyone should check that out. But fucking get on Crunchyroll to pay their translators more, because it kind of mirrors the anime industry paying their animators nothing, even though in both cases these are like the most essential workers to create the content. One of them for the actual animation, the other for the English version of it, and it's a highly skilled, extremely intensive job. But we aren't going to be able to sway Japanese anime studios much, but if people in America complain to Crunchyroll enough, hey, maybe they'll get the message eventually. So give it a shot, I would say. It's worth a shot. Yeah, might as well try. All right. So that is all the news I had. You didn't have anything, did you? I can talk about how Shirobako is finally getting a dub, which is a thing that I didn't think would ever happen. It's true, that is happening. That is going to be the largest possible voice cast I can think of.
I do like fantasy casts every time.
I saw you link it, and I'm intimidated to even click on it.
No. See, I very specifically put in it like, okay, normally I just go to the Wikipedia page and cast everyone listed, but this show has 97 characters with voices listed. So I just did the main cast, which is like 5 or 6.
It's fun too because a lot of those characters like are heavily based on or are real people. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to have English actors being actual Japanese people that are real and existing. So casting them's probably fun. I'm interested in seeing who you chose for the main cast, so I'll probably check that out later. But yeah, that's one of my top 5 shows ever for anyone who doesn't know that already. And I had given up on the idea of it ever getting a dub because, as Kestrel just mentioned, there are 97 cast members, which is an excessive amount. And I'm sure that there are going to be some actors who do multiple characters and blah, definitely. Blah, blah. But it's cool to see that getting more attention because I consider that show extremely underrated. No one I ever tell to watch it watches it. So maybe someone will now, and that makes me happy. But in addition to that, another show in my top 5, F, A Tale of Memories and Melodies, is also getting a steelbook release from Sentai. And so it's weird that they announced like 2 huge things for me at once. But I'm all about it because F, like Shirobako, extremely underrated. Please watch it.
Yeah, that's the thing I should probably watch eventually.
It's so good. It's like Shaft at their shaftiest. It's so fucking artsy.
I feel like the Kizumonogatari movies in particular enter a new level of Shaft, because I feel like Monogatari in general is about as shafty as you can get, but the Kizumonogatari movies just bump it up another level.
I actually found another one of the, because there are a bunch of them, the fucking people post pictures of the correct order to watch the Monogatari series in. And my most recent picture that I saved into my computer, because I do want to revisit that shortly, it had, I think, Kizumonogatari as the second thing to watch. How would you weigh in on placing it there?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It was the second light novel released, so that makes sense. But yeah, the Japanese light novel release order, English light novel release order, Japanese anime release order, English anime release order, and chronological order are all drastically different.
Yeah, that's one of the most confusing shows to get into, or confusing series to get into, rather.
I think it's safe to just go with, Japanese anime release order. But I'm definitely fine with, either the anime equivalent of Japanese light novel release order or just the Japanese anime release order with Kizu moved up to right after Bake, because it was announced as the second adaptation right after Bake. It just took them the better part of a decade to actually
very
start
long
coming
time
out with them. Yeah.
I
think 7 years, something like that.
I didn't realize how many installments in that series were longer than just like several episode parts, because I knew there was Bakemono and I knew that there was Nisemono and like the third one, but I think there was another 1 or 2 that went over one core, and I was like, what is this? There's a lot more Monogatari than I expected there to be.
So like the Monogatari series second season is the name of a 2-core series, which encompasses a bunch of Monogataris that are each like one several episode long arc. So yeah, it gets even more confusing because like
I'm all about it.
And they all have their Monogatari names, but the official title of that series is Monogatari series second season. But also it's not the second season. Also the final season, so there are like encompassing seasons, as they call them, for the light novels, and they are first season, second season, final season, but that's not the final season, of course. So there are a bunch of other ones after that. The season designation is arbitrary, has nothing to do with seasons in the anime series sort. They all include many other series. The second season anime adaptation does not include everything from the second season light novel arc, or I don't even know what to call it, section. And then there is, the Hitagi End arc, which is part of second season, and then Owari Monogatari, which is, Owari's End, is part of final season. But then there is Zoku Owari Monogatari, Zoku meaning next, which comes after that in final season. And then there are, again, several other ones after final season. So it will never end, and nothing makes sense. It's all a mess, and it's impossible. But it's great.
Yeah, that's a series. That's pretty much all I can say about it. It's so good, but it's like, yo, what's even happening?
Yeah, everything about it is about as convoluted and esoteric and nonsensical as you could possibly make it, from everything I just said, to the shaftiness of the adaptation, to the writing style of the light novels. The light novelist, Nishio Isin, he is a very eccentric writer, very unique styles, and very innovative, I would say. He, invents his own kanji.
What a fucking guy.
Yeah, he's insane too, because he was putting out volumes of several different long-running light novel series at the same time, every month. He's crazy.
Oh man, people like that are an inspiration. I fucking love it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's the two pieces of news that I had for this podcast.
Yeah, and there have been a bunch of other home video announcements that I'm excited about, but I will just wait until they're closer to coming out and include them in the recommendations section. But a few 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays, which I'm excited about.
Hey, so many K.
It's a lot of Ks.
4 of them.
It's a lot of Ks.
All right.
Yeah. Anime Summer 2020. That's what we're talking about.
We have a slightly more lively season than last season.
Don't jinx it.
Never mind. It's another slow season for anime, and anime will never recover. The end. Thanks for coming to our podcast.
We're going to be down to 5 shows again by next week.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's possible. I heard that, I don't know if it's true or not, because I haven't really looked into it, but I heard that ReZero Season 2 got cut short because of the COVID situation. I don't know if you have also heard anything like that.
I don't know about that. I do know that it was originally announced for 2 cores, and then it was announced that it would be split core.
Oh,
so
is it going to be
split?
1
core now.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that it was going to be split, so I thought it was just they were cutting it down to 12, and they were just going to fucking do the rest some other time, which is technically true. But I thought the time that they do the second part was going to be much further away than it will be, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's planned for winter right now.
Oh, man, that's going to be rough. That's not a show I want to just leave off at a certain point.
Well, at least it's better than the 4-year gap we got between the first 2 seasons.
Has it really been that long? Yeah. Oh, my God.
Same
and it was probably just
Titan.
as long for fucking OreGairu. It's probably, 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
And coincidentally, those are the 2 best shows this season, so at least the wait was worth it, ?
Yeah, I mean, ReZero in particular, it's kind of the same situation as Attack on Titan, where it had a 2-core first season that just blew up. Everyone loved it. They were like, yeah, when can we get more? We need it as soon as possible. And then 4 years before the second season.
They just realize afterwards, oh shit, this show is popular.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Just thinking about the other Isekai Quartet series, Konosuba got a second season and a movie. Overlord got 2 additional seasons. Saga of Tanya the Evil got a movie, and Isekai Quartet itself got 2 seasons, all in the time that ReZero took to finally get its 2nd season, and it is by far the most popular of those.
Yeah, I feel like, at least in terms of plot, though, and I haven't watched Overlord, I feel like ReZero definitely has a lot more to it than the other shows. But I've really only seen Konosuba out of those, so never mind.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me for both of those. I mean, Attack on Titan was bigger, but like ReZero, if you can sell a $40,000 figure from a show, it's probably pretty popular.
People fucking love Rem, and I don't get it.
I mean, I get it.
She's fine. That's it. She's fine.
I like Rem a lot, and she's by far the highlight of the series, and it's a great series. Was that a disagreement on that?
That was a disagreement. Rem's fine. She's... I still think the funniest thing I ever did on Fandom Post, this is when I was making like the cutest girls countdowns, which I have since stopped because I'm just so fucking busy. But that was a season where I did a top 20 because there were just so many fucking girls. And as like the preview picture for the article, I had Rem. And I did not include her in the top 20 cutest girls of the season. But I included Ram. That was like the trolliest thing I ever did on that website. And I loved it.
That's pretty trolly, yeah.
Yeah, I like Rem. She's great, but I feel like 90% of her personality is just loving Subaru unconditionally. Which kind of takes away from the tragic backstory. For me, I don't know.
Yeah,
She just doesn't. There's not enough to her because I feel like Subaru could fucking do anything, and she'd be like, "Okay, I still love you."
Probably, yeah. And I mean, that's a problem with a lot of fucking anime, especially isekai. And normally it's something that I hate more than anything, but for some reason, I guess just because she actually was the lead heroine of the first season of ReZero.
100%. And she had like the star role in the best episode of ReZero. So
yeah, and she had all that time with Subaru, and I felt like by the time they had their big moment where she let it all out, that it was earned and organic. And I don't normally feel that way at all about those kind of relationships. Mm-hmm. So I appreciated that.
She's good. Yeah, Yeah. I don't think she's a bad character, not cute by any means. It's just, for there to be a $40,000 figure of her, I'd want to have a stronger opinion. And there are a lot of people who are just like, fucking, I would die for Rem. And I'm just like, yo, calm down, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely know people who, since the first season of ReZero aired, Rem has been their waifu and their profile picture everywhere, and they've bought every figure of Rem that wasn't $40,000, and just made that their life mission.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't get it quite that much, but I definitely appreciated a lot of things about her that I didn't expect watching the first series. And they basically boil down to, I guess, just how unexpected it was that, one, I really like that they subverted the twin trope so much, where normally, especially with the way they're introduced, these two characters are, perfect mirrors of each other. They do everything in tandem. It seems like they will have exactly equivalent roles for the entire series.
Not even close.
Not even a little bit. Instead, not only does Rem steal the spotlight and Ram fade into obscurity, but Rem steals the spotlight from the female lead setup from the beginning of the series for like the entire first season. And that's also like completely unexpected and very interesting. And I think that it's kind of like a gap moe kind of experience where it's just so far from what you expect. So not only that she steals the show so much when it seems like she will just be, a supporting character and certainly no more relevant than her sister, but then the fact that her sister also has, an opposite personality and is kind of, rude and abrasive and an asshole to Subaru, just kind of propels how much Rem is like the perfect premium girl even more. And, she gets to have a personality and gets to have a tragic backstory and gets to have a different backstory and, different personality traits than her twin sister. And, all of those factors and how she interacts with Subaru and forms a relationship with him just kind of propel her to be this just surprise superstar of the series. And I think, if she was set up to be the female lead and that was how it was always meant to be, there was no twin or any of that stuff, I don't think it would have been quite as effective. At least it wouldn't have been to me, because
I agree.
It really was just how much she subverted those tropes that drew me to her.
I like that. That's probably the best promotion of Rem that I've heard anyone have so far. So, cool.
Yeah.
You weren't just like, she's cute inherently, and that's the end of my discussion. Fuck you. Which is what I feel like most people say. Yeah, I like her as a character a lot. I don't fully understand the feelings that she has for Subaru. But I guess you don't need to understand someone's feelings in order for them to exist. And so that's fine.
Yeah.
I feel
like I said, I do have problems with that in virtually every other scenario like this.
Yeah.
Because usually it's like, fucking Kirito meets new girl
she just likes him because he's the protagonist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just self-insert protagonist bullshit.
Yeah.
Where everyone is just in love with him because he's the protagonist. And in ReZero, at least, a couple things. It took 2 cores of very intense emotional scenarios with the 2 of them together for her to express these feelings in such terms. And 2, Subaru doesn't have as much of an explicit harem. Obviously he has multiple love interests, which I still kind of annoy me, but it's not as bad as just everyone is so in love with him all the time.
Yeah, I feel like Subaru's harem situation is a little different from the normal one, though, because he's already made up his mind. And that gives his harem legitimacy in my book, because it's just other people like me, but they are not options.
Yeah. And additionally, the fact that, I guess Rem made it pretty explicit, but the fact that he can recognize that other characters are interested in him, instead of just being completely oblivious and obtuse to
God.
Every advance. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm fucking tired of that.
I don't think I'll be returning to Isekai Quartet for a 3rd season, but the one bit of the 2 seasons that I did watch that I enjoyed was an exchange between Subaru and Kazuma, where they're talking about, basically Kazuma is complaining about how he doesn't get any of the, awesome isekai tropes that he was expecting. And Subaru's like, yeah, man, it's rough. I think only one of the girls in my show are in love with me. And, I've kind of got another relationship building with another beautiful woman, and I live with all of them. But it is pretty rough. And Kazuma is just increasingly infuriated because Subaru's situation is in fact exactly what he wanted.
I was so excited to finally have those 2 communicate, because that was, as soon as Isekai Quartet was announced, I was like, yes, Kazuma and Subaru are gonna be bros. And then they became bros, and it was my dreams were coming true. And we've only gotten 1 or 2 scenes where Amelia and Megumin conversed. But that was also another big thing for me, because I was like, oh my God, my 2 favorite Rie Takahashi characters are going to be talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And I'm sad that they haven't had any, jokes regarding the voice being the same voice, pretty much. But
I kind of hope they don't, just because I feel bad for the English dub to have to deal with that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That would suck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit in the Japanese dubs where you look at it and you're just like, man, that's gonna really suck for the fucking English writers. The one big one that sticks out to me. This is not from this season, but there's the scene in Your Name where it's like all the different pronouns that Taki uses for himself, quote unquote. That seemed like hell.
Yeah, I was impressed with what they did, but that was definitely, a huge example of like, ooh, this is literally impossible.
Have fun. And the rapping from Zombieland Saga. Yeah.
Also, there's roughly 24 episodes of a series called Steins Gate. Anyway.
Yeah, they and Steins Gate Zero did not approach it in the same manner. So...
Yeah, Steins Gate Zero had an even harder thing to deal with at the very beginning, and they chose the worst possible compromise.
God. I've been afraid of watching the dub for Zero because of that scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, objective problems with that dub. I have a lot of subjective problems with the Steins Gate dub, but Zero has some objective flaws.
It's just like there wasn't an editor anywhere, because there's the thing with the names too, and the consistency of like how characters are referred to, which I knew was like the biggest problem you had with it.
Yeah, there was a bunch of problems. Yeah, those were definitely two of the big ones. Yeah. Anyway, we were talking about ReZero, right? Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to mention about the Isekai Quartet thing. By the way, did you watch all of both seasons?
I did.
Oh, are you going to continue?
Yeah, if it was a 24-minute show, I probably wouldn't. But the fact that it's like 10 minutes, it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. I'll watch this in between two other shows, and it'll feel like less of a burden. Mm-hmm. It's fun. Like, it is exactly what I expected it to be. And the moments that showcase characters that I know are fun ones. And I actually kind of want to watch Overlord and Tanya the Evil now, so... It worked in that regard, which I feel like is another big thing that series tries to do. It's like it shows you the characters that you love and tries to get you involved with the characters that you don't love, which is cool. So good for them.
Yeah, that's fair.
It hasn't technically worked yet, but it's close to working.
Yeah, I think those are all good series, so they're definitely worth checking out. I think I'm probably done with Isekai Quartet though. But yeah, I'm watching new season of ReZero, obviously, and in the past week, I got the Blu-ray of the first season of Konosuba, which finally came out. That was one of those Discotheque Crunchyroll re-releases that came out recently. Just seeing how much, like, both Subaru and Kazuma are attached to their tracksuits in particular.
Yeah.
When they first come to their worlds, I'm like, wow, these are like the same character.
They really are. That's why I was so excited for them to meet. I'm like, yo, this is just fucking... Subaru is tragic Kazuma. That's what he is.
Yeah. That's the tragedy and the comedy side of the same character. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested, and I guess we're getting into the spoiler territory for ReZero right now. Mm-hmm. So if you're afraid of spoilers, please stop listening. But
for like a minute,
a
couple minutes.
I'm really interested in seeing how this. I don't know if it's like a flashback. It's obviously not a flashback, but the thing with him being brought back to his actual life, I am very interested in seeing how that plays out, because I did not expect that at all.
Nope. Yeah, that was definitely, it's definitely the highlight of this second season so far.
Yeah.
That episode. And yeah, it's something that Isekai just doesn't do.
Yeah. And I'm very interested in seeing how they get back to Isekai land. I feel like up until that moment, I was feeling, I don't want to say underwhelmed with ReZero Season 2, but it's like it didn't feel like Season 1 did, where there were so many moments where it's just like, holy shit, like this is really serious, and this is the first time that we've gotten something like that so far, and it reminded me how much I like that show. It's very good because it's able to do these really serious, unexpected things that you just don't really ever imagine happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was certainly underwhelmed by, at least an episode or two leading up to that. Mm-hmm. And then that just totally turned it around. Yeah, I love that episode. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was just so unlike anything we get.
Kazuma's dad, or not Kazuma, Subaru's dad. See, they're that similar. Subaru's dad seems like a bro. And
totally.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's just, like the most impossible to hate character
that
has ever existed.
And we've seen like 2 lines from him. So, yeah, that's going to be fun.
Getting to see just, Subaru in his natural habitat, what turned him into a shut-in, and, how he is without the confidence that he can have in this foreign world. It's just like such a different side of him and makes him a much more interesting protagonist. Like, I always liked Subaru, and the fact that he has to, suffer through such intense trauma on a regular basis.
Poor guy.
Definitely contributes to
He's
that.
got the worst lives.
Yeah. But yeah, seeing this and just, how the anxiety of our real world society had turned him into the shut-in that eventually, found his literal escape through this other world, made me a lot more interested in him as a character.
Oh, I want to get
because he's the protagonist.
I want it to happen to me. His room looks like mine.
Mm-hmm.
I relate.
Yeah.
I'm just less cool.
Well, I mean, at least your anxiety isn't so crippling that you literally can't leave the house. I guess he leaves the house.
I go to Starbucks in the morning.
All right. Maybe I shouldn't make any assumptions about your life.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna segue, but I don't know if you wanted to say anything else about more ReZero stuff.
I was just gonna say the one other thing is that I do feel like part of what's underwhelming about it is that Rem hasn't had a role since the first episode.
Yeah, I think people are gonna be mad about that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if people are buying a $40,000 figure for, and ReZero finally comes back after 40 years, then
I hope she stays there for the whole season, because that would piss so many people off and it would make me smile.
Like, it's fair that, Amelia was supposed to be the lead heroine and she's finally getting some screen time.
Thank God.
Rem had the spotlight for the entire first season.
Amelia, because I've been defending her since day one. I'm one of the Amelia purists, and everybody's like, she doesn't do anything, and I'm just like, you wait. And now I can finally be like, the time has come where I won't have to say that she hasn't done anything anymore.
What's interesting to me is that, Amelia was kind of always the subject, while Rem was the star.
Yeah.
And now Rem is the subject. A big part of it is how to, save her, basically. And that has allowed Amelia to become the star finally.
The whole switcheroo. And then I bet season 2 ends with Amelia in a coma, and then Ram has her time to shine. And we just do that until everybody is in a coma, and the only person left is Felix, and that is the end of ReZero.
Yep.
I just wrote the rest for them.
Perfect. By the way, it's too bad that the timing worked out like this. I wish it was like April Fool's was coming up in the next month or two, because my suggestion was going to be for the cutest girls of the season for an April Fool's thing. You just do all Lessons in Love girls.
Oh my God, that'd be fun. I don't know how. I don't know if Chris would approve that.
I feel like he's down for anything.
There are a fucking lot of them now, so I think I'm writing 19 different characters.
Wow, that's too many.
Yeah, and it's cool because one of the big things that people keep saying is they're all fucking different, which makes me happy as a writer because I'm like, cool, mission accomplished. I don't have any character that seems like a rehash of another character. So
yeah,
but I guess when you've spent so many years of your life critiquing cute girls and literally ranking them in written form.
Wow. I never realized that all of those articles were actually just
studying
for what is now your actual profession.
Yeah, it worked.
Wow. Incredible. Dreams come true.
Yeah, I'm now making a living off of cute girls, which is the thing I didn't think I'd ever be able to do successfully.
Amazing. All right, what's another thing we want to talk about?
Well, we're already talked about cool protagonists, so I guess we could jump right into OreGairu Season 3 with the coolest protagonist in Hachiman Yukigaya. You know what?
Obviously, I watched the first 2 seasons of this show and read many of the light novels before Kaguya-sama started or anything. But just having these back-to-back like this makes me realize how much Hachiman is just Ishigami with protagonist powers.
Yeah, 100%.
Like he's just Ishigami.
That's why Ishigami I liked was Ishigami the protagonist
so and had a harem.
He's so cynical and just like fucking like shut in philosophical that it's great. Oh my god. Yeah. I waited a long time for this, as did many other people. And I was I think because of how long I waited and not watching season 2 again before this aired, I was definitely a little confused when things started up, because I'm like, wait, what were we in the middle of again? Because I remember that it was really serious, and it picks up like right in the middle of that. I just had to struggle to figure out what was going on. But now that I'm like, I'm starting to remember everything, I'm like, okay, this is good.
I was kind of surprised by that. Like, they picked up in the middle of the scene.
Right in the middle. We
Just
waited
like
fucking 5 years for them to finish their conversation.
Exactly.
Oh, it's evil.
They're just talking about the serious events that just unfolded.
That's if you haven't watched season 3 yet and did watch season 2, watch at least the last episode of season 2 again. I highly recommend that, because it does not give you any time to catch up.
I guess in some ways, like, I appreciate for, future rewatches of the entire series that episode 1 isn't just like half recap like some shows will do when they have 5-year gaps. So at least there's that. Yeah.
It's I have the same problem with it that I have always had, and it's not really a problem. It's something that they do correctly, and it's that I can't choose my favorite character, because my favorite character is always whoever is talking at that moment, which is quite obnoxious.
Yeah, I think now is Hachiman in serious competition with all of the cute girls for favorite character?
Hachiman is, I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's my favorite anime protagonist. Okay. So he's like, he has his own level. There's Hachiman, who's my favorite character, but then there's my favorite girl character, which is arguably more important, because they're the ones that I think more about. And I think for the first time, I'm starting to see Yukino like slope to the bottom. But I mean, she hasn't done anything wrong. It's just, I feel like there's a moment coming in this season that will shoot her right back up, and I'm looking forward to that, because building her character is basically the foundation of this show. It's her and Hachiman, and those are the people that need to like become better humans.
Right.
So I am excited to see that. And in the meantime, I will continue to observe how fucking adorable Saki Kawasaki has become. Because she needs more screen time. She doesn't get any. And everything that she has done this season has been the highlight of this season.
Have you read the light novels?
I haven't. I own them. I haven't actually read them, though. I never fucking read anything anymore because I never have time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think once... Because this should be the last season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think once this season's over, I'll probably pick them up. How close is the show to the light novels?
So, I mean, it's definitely a faithful adaptation. Yeah. I would say that the anime can never really reach the level of the light novels.
It's fair.
And a big part of that is because, our boy 8-Man, he is the narrator, and you get to spend so much more time in his head.
Sounds so good.
Yeah, it's great. So, the cynicism, the commentary, the philosophy, the references, all his little quirks are just like 100 times what they are in the show.
Who voices 8-Man? I can't remember.
Takuya Eguchi, who is an incredibly versatile seiyuu.
Yeah.
Because he does, like, from high-voiced anime boys to, like, super deep voice, like I don't know if you watched Monogatari, My Love Story.
Yeah, I did.
But he voices the protagonist of that show.
He's fucking Takeo? What?
Yup.
Excuse me?
And, like, Hachiman is, like, the middle of his range. He does a lot of, like, really high-voiced boys as well.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great actor as well, because Hachiman is... You need to do something very specific to be Hachiman, and he has it down. Oh, this guy's been fucking everything.
Yeah, I remember his early roles that I heard him in. I think, like, 2012 was when I first started hearing him and stuff. Maybe 2011. Mm-hmm. And back then it was all, like, kind of younger, higher voiced male characters. And then, a few years later, or, a year or two later, he voiced Hachiman and I think a few other characters in that range. And I was like, oh, wow, this is the same guy? He's a lot deeper than I expected. And then a few years after that came My Love Story. And I was like,
what the hell is this? Yeah, I've got
How can you do
a
this?
few My Love Story posters right behind me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
Yeah. Beautiful Madhouse animation.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, the cast in general for OreGairu is amazing, because it's got, like, I think 3 of my top 10 actresses in there, with fucking Saori Hayami being the main girl. So,
yeah.
All about that. Don't spoil anything for me, because I don't even know if there will be a decisive choice in the romance battle. But I think I think I'm Team Yui all the way, because she deserves it. She's wanted it for so long. They're all so lovable.
It's true. Yeah, it's interesting, those scenarios where, like, the main girl and the girl who deserves it most are usually not the same.
Yeah.
I will mention that the second season covered up through, let's say on here, volume 11? How many volumes are there? Maybe that's all of them.
There are adaptation.
There are 14 volumes, okay.
Okay. Wow, this is the number
3.
15 ranked light novel on my anime list.
It's so good. Like, it's... I'll have to check my ranking if it's my top light novel. It's definitely top 2 or 3.
Damn.
But yeah, so the second season covered up through volume 11, and only up through volume 9 have been released in English. So I don't know what happens.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad that you don't know what happens. We can experience it together.
Yeah. Which I'm kind of glad about, because, I experienced everything first through the anime anyway, because they didn't start... I don't think it got licensed until after the second season had already aired.
That is correct.
I think it got licensed right after that, yeah. So, obviously I experienced all that through the anime first.
Oh man, it's such a good show.
It's a great series, and I can't wait to see how its, climactic arc plays out.
It's the most realistic high school-based anime, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like, there are so many moments where I'm like, yeah, I remember these guys from high school. I remember that guy.
Fucking Tobei, dude. There's a Tobei in every high school.
All right, I have it in my top 3 light novels.
What's number 1?
Spice and Wolf.
Really? I don't even know you read Spice and Wolf.
I read the entire giant 17 volumes in one giant hardcover tome with tiny-ass writing, 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition book.
Yeah, that's a series that I have been wanting to get into forever and just haven't. So, knowing that it's number one, it's shooting up a few notches, because Holo is adorable, and I want to experience her, which is a strange sentence.
By that you mean, like, you haven't watched any of the anime either?
I haven't watched the anime either, no.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously, if it's my favorite light novel and the anime has never been a consideration for, like, my top anything, obviously, the light novels are a lot better.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of that is the storytelling just works a lot better in prose. It's very well written. Also, the anime adaptations are extremely incomplete. It really only covers the first few volumes, and it's very much a journey that you want to see through to the end.
Yeah.
And also, the first season is, I would say maybe OreGairu season 1 quality, which is not very good.
Art-wise, no. Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of art consistency, animation quality. And season 2 is significantly worse. Whereas, fortunately, OreGairu had a much stronger second and third season from Feel.
Hell yeah, Feel. You and your shiny characters.
They are very shiny.
Yeah, I love what Feel did with OreGairu. It's, like, I can't even imagine going back at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, it could be better, but it's certainly a competent adaptation.
I don't like how the dancing in the opening for this season is animated.
It is a little weird, yeah.
It's not good. I will be the first to admit that. But Yukino in a suit, yes, please.
I think probably the worst of Feel's animation for the series is still better than the best of Brain Spaces. Which is weird. Like, Brain Space is usually a pretty strong studio.
That was a weird looking show. Like, it just seemed odd.
I remember the performance scenes in that being, like, really cheap.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Hachiman looks a lot cooler now, too. Which is, I guess, a bad thing.
Right, I was gonna say.
Because I don't think he's supposed to look cool. But he looks so cool with his scarf. I'm just like, man, what a guy. And I used to be like, what a fucking scrawny loser.
I wish Brain Space would just animate Hachiman and Feel animate the rest.
That's fair. One more thing I like about this show that not a lot of other comparable shows do is that it has a brother-sister relationship that, like, isn't weird at all.
Yeah, I will agree with that for the most part, but, like, they still say some things that you could do with
Well, I think that's, like, 99% Hachiman being Hachiman, though. Because he is a total siscon, and, like, I don't think he'd ever actually do anything, but he finds joy in saying those, because that's the type of relationship they have. It feels very organic to me, and, like, nothing will ever happen between them, but they love each other in a sibling way. And I'm glad that Komachi is, like, actually getting some development, kind of, finally, because I've always loved her, and she hasn't really had any major moments, but she's had, like, 2 so far, and they made me sad.
Yeah, and Komachi says some things that are also kind of weird siscon-y stuff.
I guess.
Like, maybe more than Hachiman does, I feel like.
Really? She's like always. I feel like she's always sarcastic about it, though. Like, she says things,
but she still
like,
says
to get a
fucking
rise
weird
out
things.
of him.
Yeah, that's still weird.
Maybe.
Like, okay,
I don't know.
Like,
I think they seem
sorry
normal.
Sorry to make this real, but DJ, you have a little sister. If any of these exchanges happened between the two of you, would that seem normal to you?
Probably not, but I haven't, like, spent much time around any of my little sisters. Like, I never really lived with
How many
any of
little
them.
sisters do you have?
I have 3.
Jesus.
Yeah, I have 6 siblings, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. I've only really, like, been close with one brother, though, because the rest of them are all halves.
Okay.
But, I mean, I don't know. It seems normal from an anime perspective because they haven't, like, made out yet.
There are a lot of things in this world that worry me, but the fact that
That's not a good
DJ
start
Horn,
to a sentence.
the fact that DJ Horn has 3 little sisters is shooting to the top.
What the hell, man? Rude.
Right, we can stop talking about this.
What if they listen to this? They don't.
I mean, the things you say on this podcast...
Yeah, it's true. I do say a lot of questionable things.
In public places in general, like, the number of times you've said positive things about incest on this show...
Dude, the main heroine in Lessons in Love is your niece. So...
Right. So I feel like what I just said was not the biggest concern that one of your family members would have listening to this show.
It's fine if it's an anime.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's encouraged in anime.
Well...
Shut up!
But anyway, the premise of your claim was that their relationship feels more real. So
yeah.
I don't think you can use the same, like, it's cool because it's anime
doesn't
logic.
Feel like a love interest, which is a thing I like. It's like this show, and actually I was going to say this show and Bunny Girl Senpai did that, but Kaide was definitely a love interest, so never mind.
Yeah, those are both cases where, like, you know, it's kind of making fun of those tropes.
Yeah.
But I could still fucking do without all the... And I feel like it's bad in both. Like, I wish it didn't happen in either of them. And both from the brother side and the sister side.
I fully support it.
Okay.
All right, well, that's it for the good shows this season.
I mean, that's not entirely true.
For me, at least, because I know you have a few other shows that you're super into. So I guess...
those are the only 2 I'm super into.
Oh, well, that's cool. Fruits Basket's still good. Yeah, I like it. I like that things are kind of starting to happen on the romance front. Even if it's, like, happening at a very slow and kind of not all that obvious way. Because I don't know if Toru fully grasps how anyone feels about her. Which is fine because of the type of character she is. But I am glad to see Yuki, in particular, getting a lot of screen time and development, in particular, this season, or this core, because he's always been the guy that I want to know more about. And he seems to be growing at a faster rate than everybody else, at least right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess Toru's obliviousness works a little bit better because it just kind of fits in with her character across the board. Yeah. It's not just like, oh, she's really sharp about everything, except that everyone's in love with her. She has no idea.
She is aloof as hell.
Right. But yeah, I feel like the romantic developments in the show are faster than a lot of romance and a lot of anime with, you know, multiple love interests, because at least things are happening, and that often just doesn't happen at all. Yeah,
things are happening, but I feel like the show takes its time to kind of step away from those and highlight side characters. A lot more than other shows in this genre. I like shoujo stuff, probably more than shonen stuff, to be honest. And one thing that most shoujo does is just focus on main girl and like how she handles her romances and stuff. And the amount of work they put into fleshing out the relationships and the backstories of the side characters. Teacher girl in particular, I can't remember her name. I loved her story, and it was just like you get one episode and it's just super adorable, and it just makes the world seem so much more full than it would be if it was just like, here's a story about Toru and a mouse and a cat.
Yeah, that's definitely like the biggest strength of Fruits Basket. And it's like so much a part of that show's identity or that series' identity that I fail to even compare it to other, shoujo romances. And like, oh yeah, that's what it's ostensibly supposed to
Kimi
be.
ni Todoke was like that too, where it's like you start watching it for the main couple and it quickly becomes about the other characters in it rather than just the main couple. Like Kimi ni Todoke's biggest selling point for me was that the most important part of the show is Sawako and her two friends. And so that was like what I loved.
Yeah. Fruits Basket, it has a giant cast, and it really does take time to delve into each of them, and just the depth of emotional complexity that it explores, especially in some of its final moments. It really sets it apart from pretty much anything else I can think of, certainly for shoujo. So yeah, I love that about it. Like, I would not be nearly as into that show or that series if it was just a straight romance or anything like that.
I love how chill the openings are too. They're so relaxing.
I'm not a big fan of how chill the openings are.
This one isn't as good as the last one, but I liked the first.
I hated the last one.
I liked it. It was just like the snapping. I was so about it. It just feels like you're like walking outside on like a summer day and just like looking at the street. That's just the sound of the opening.
So like the openings of Fruits Basket are always very much like endings of any other show. But the first opening of this season, that was just straight up an ending. Like, that animation was ending animation, 100%.
With the walking?
Yup.
Yeah, if there's, like, a walking loop in an anime thing, it's an ending. Not this time, though.
Like, you don't put that in your opening. You don't make a minute of your minute and a half opening just a continuous
Maybe
loop
they
of
just,
every
like,
character
accidentally put it there, like, when they put the first episode out, and they were like, fuck, we can't go back.
Yeah, that kind of annoyed me, but I'm definitely not into a single one of the opening themes so far.
There's always one really high note in them, and that always makes me happy. Yeah, it's just a really lax show, so I like it. It fits.
Yeah, it's interesting, because, like, it's normally a very relaxed show, but then it just delves into the most extreme emotion at times.
Yeah.
And it's going to get further and further into that as it goes on.
I'm all about it. Let the darkness come.
Yeah, that's definitely the best material in it. Also, I give it credit for being, as far as I know, at least for the stuff I've watched, the only anime scheduled to make it through the entirety of these two seasons unaffected.
Good for them.
Yeah. Because, all my long-running stuff took basically all of last season off. One Piece, Conan, and then all the sequels and continuing shows were, postponed, delayed, whatever.
Nice. All right, well, I don't really have anything else to say about Fruits Basket, so.
Yeah, I look forward to, discussing it once it ends and you really get into the weeds.
It's getting, like, one more 2-course season after this, right? Was that the original plan? I think it was...
I can't remember.
I wanted to say it was, like
5 course?
Yeah, I think 64 episodes was, like, what they said.
So that would be just one more core after this.
Oh, man, we're closer to the end than I thought. This is another show where I was like, I can't believe, like, I'm, like, 40 episodes into this right now. Like, it doesn't feel that way.
It's true, yeah. I guess because it just has so many characters to deal with that.
Yeah, like...
I feel like the romance is moving along a little quicker than at least other, romantic shows that I watch. But in terms of events actually happening, not that much has happened.
Yeah, this is... Huh. Yeah. All right. So now what?
Now what?
Did you want to talk about something that you were just watching, or should we talk about another one that we both watched? Or I'll let you choose, because I feel like I've chosen the past 3.
No.
Okay, well, since I'm gonna choose, I guess we can talk talk about my number 4 and a show that you dropped, Rent a Girlfriend, which is a show that exists. It's okay. It's nothing special. It's very generic, and it has probably the worst protagonist of the year, which is quite a feat given the amount of bad protagonists out there. But this guy in particular is such a fucking chump, and all he does is cry, and it drags down a show that would be otherwise pretty cool into something that is borderline hard to watch at times. And I think I still only have it at a B- because I like Main Girl a lot. She's cute. So she is carrying that show right now, while everyone else tries to sabotage it.
Yeah, she is literally the only character I do not absolutely hate.
Yeah, that's fair. Everybody else is a pretty horrible person so far.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, you dropped that one, right? So you won't even know if more good characters show up.
Yeah, so, like, you know, I know that more main girls are coming soon. Maybe in today's episode, possibly. I dropped it last night, so I wouldn't know. But honestly, that's probably the biggest reason I'm not interested to watch more. Because, like, it's better than it has any right to be, and it's hard to pin down why.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because at least it's not boring.
That's 100% what it is. Yeah, it's not a boring show, but it's not good by any means.
Yeah, like it has that train wreck quality where you want to keep watching because, you know, these people are terrible to some extent. But the fact that it's getting a few new girls injected into it means it's going to become another fucking harem show, and that's going to be boring no matter how they play it.
I don't know how the fuck
I don't care.
This show is going to turn into a harem with how shitty the protagonist is. That's what I'm worried about. Like,
but it already is.
It already is, and I don't understand, like, what, because, like, neither of the girls in the
that's why harem sucks
neither
so
of
much.
the girls in this harem so far actually like the protagonist. They're just fucking competing with each other at this point.
Exactly. It's always, you know, the protagonist is trash. There's no reason anyone would like him. But these... And I've seen this in other situations, too, where it's like, I don't even like you or anything, but I can't let someone else have you.
Oh my god, the worst.
Yeah. And so that's already happening.
Yeah.
And Mommy's a piece of shit.
She sucks. I want to punch her in the mouth.
Yeah, she's awful.
She has different colored eyebrows. They don't match her hair, and it makes me mad.
But yeah, you know, she is jealous and is actively sabotaging a relationship that her ex has.
That doesn't even exist.
That doesn't exist, but it exists because, of course, because, you know, it's nisekoi situation.
That's the vibe that I got from this when I was watching it. I'm like, that's Chitoge.
Right. As soon as it was like, oh, we have to make our fake relationship a real relationship, I wonder if it'll turn into a real relationship. Like, shut the fuck up. I've seen this.
Oreshuda did that, and I love that show.
Yup.
I know, you hated it. I loved it.
I wouldn't say I hated it.
I hated all the JoJo references
C+. In it. Those were the only good parts.
The parts I didn't understand.
Yeah, but, you know, it's that kind of situation combined with the, you know, shitty, vindictive ex-girlfriend. But, like, you know, he feels bad about it, even though she left him to date someone else. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't
Nobody
understand
makes any sense.
What's going... Like, he is just purely powered by lust at this point. It's just like, you're an attractive girl, and I can get off to somebody else doing you too. It's like borderline MTR in some scenes.
That's true.
It's weird and uncomfortable, and I want him to grow up.
Yeah, he's real bad. She's a piece of shit, and, you know, Chizuru deserves better.
She does.
She's, like, But also, it's kind of conflicting because I feel like she's kind of in a weird profession. I don't know how I feel about her.
Yeah, that's another
given
weird
that
thing.
fact.
That's the one thing like dragging me down every time. I'm like, she's actually like a pretty cool girl, but she takes money
she's
to
kind
date
of a
people.
whore. She's kind of a prostitute.
Kind of, yeah, like a hand-holding prostitute.
Yeah,
But it's still weird.
Kind of weird.
Hand-holding is basically sex in anime. So
That's absolutely true. Except in the show where they have fantasies about sex, like all.
yeah,
of them.
fantasies. They never actually do anything because
I guess
fucking
that's true.
Protag's a coward. Yeah, I want mommy to die. I want Protag to die, and I just want to watch Chizuru go to school for the next 10 episodes.
But think about what you're asking for. If you just watch Chizuru's daily life, then you're just going to see her dating a different guy every episode.
That would not make me happy.
Right. So it's like super bizarre that I made it through 3 episodes of the show and I didn't regret it that much. Like, I could watch more and it wouldn't be unbearable. Because it's just not boring yet.
You're just looking away from the train
this
wreck.
hatred fuels me, yeah.
You're the guy who just keeps driving after seeing an accident rather than stopping, which is most people, which is what you probably should do, because what are you going to do?
Yeah, I guess that's the case, yeah. But the fact that I know it's going to turn into just more of a harem means that it's just going to fall back on more tropes
What if
that
he,
I don't give a shit about.
What if he becomes cool out of nowhere? Like, what if, like, episode 4, he's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to be a cool guy. And becomes a cool guy.
But, like, he doesn't deserve to
That's
be cool
true.
at this point.
Yeah, he's missed his chance.
Yeah, there's nothing about the scenario that has been set up or will continue to be set up that I want him to be a cool guy in the middle of. Like, you don't want a fucking Chad in the middle of that situation.
Oh, that's the perfect word to describe him. He's just a Chad.
Yeah. So everyone sucks, and maybe good characters will show up, but they're just going to be used for the purpose of a harem, so they're not really going to be good characters.
Yeah, good point. There was Oresuki was like that as well. Where it's like nobody's really like cool. Like they're all pretty shitty people, and it just became a harem. So
I was actually going to bring that show up with something that was just said. I guess just the fact that, you know, it starts with kind of this harem subversion and
just becomes a harem
on those tropes, and it just becomes a fucking harem, and they all do, and that's how I know it's going to happen with this.
Yeah,
it's boring. It's boring. Stop it.
It's like creative in a not creative way. Like, it thinks it's being creative, but it's like, this has happened, like, already.
Yeah. Like, Oresuki had, like, 3 or 4 episodes of an original story.
Yeah, and they were the best episodes of the series.
Oh, absolutely. And then it's just like, oh, shit, well, we got a bunch of cute girls, let's just make it an actual hero.
What do we do now?
Yeah. So, that's why I'm confident the same will happen here.
Oh, I'm positive the same thing will happen here. But I have to stay around at least until the really shy-looking tennis girl shows up, because she looks adorable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I think that's what kept me watching for 3 episodes, and why I haven't hated it as much as I should so far, is because it didn't turn into that yet.
But it will.
Not quite, anyway.
It will. And I'll let you know when it does, because I think I'm going to stay around and watch the train wreck.
Have fun.
All right. Another thing we have in common that you also dropped, that I'll probably drop soon, is the Misfit of Demon King Academy. I don't know why I'm watching this.
It has girls.
Yeah, it's got 2 of them.
Yeah.
I do like... I normally hate overpowered protagonists, but I think that this guy is so dramatically overpowered that it's kind of amusing, because literally the whole premise for anyone who hasn't watched the show is that this guy's the fucking Demon King, and he died like a bajillion years ago, and suddenly he comes back to life for some reason that I still don't really get, as a rapidly aging baby who goes to a school of people training to do magic for some reason they haven't really talked about.
Well, they're the descendants of the Demon King training to become the new Demon King.
Are they all? Is that what they're doing? They're all training to become the new Demon King?
Well, they're like... it's like one of them... They know that the Demon King was supposed to reincarnate 2,000 years later.
Uh-huh.
So they know that like one of them is supposed to be the Demon King.
Oh,
so, yeah.
And they're trying to figure out
Something
what it is.
like that.
Okay. I thought it was just this one dude who shows up and he's like, I'm the Demon King. And everybody's like, what?
No, they...
But...
Yeah, they know that someone in his generation is going to be.
All right, well,
Yeah.
it's him.
But also, none of that is relevant because it's just Magic High School.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that's the gist of the show. So Demon King guy shows up, and there is homunculus question mark girl, maybe. I still don't fully understand what Misha is, but she's got silver hair and she's cute. And then there's her sister question mark who has blonde hair and she's cute. And so the show is a really overpowered guy, just flaunting how overpowered he is to everyone while they kind of swoon. And that's the Misfit Demon King Academy.
There was a moment in one of the last episodes I watched where it kind of struck me that this was like caricaturized versions of Asuka and Rei, and then the absolute antithesis of
Oh my
Phoebe.
god, you're right. That's so... Oh my god, that's so true. I can't unsee it now.
Yeah. So I found that amusing. But yeah, I kind of agree that the protagonist is more enjoyable than many of his overpowered counterparts, just because that's the whole point, and he's just kind of like, just arrogant about it, and, he's not bland, he's not oblivious, he's not humble, he's just kind of an asshole who knows he's the best and is just going to flaunt that. However, that does mean that there is absolutely no tension ever.
Exactly.
Because you know that he's just going to pull everything off.
There's no conflict at all because he's just the best and like the show is already solved. So it's just a series of him like making people realize that he's the best, which kind of sucks for plot.
Right, exactly.
Which is it's rare that I like the main guy more than the girls, and I think this is one of the very rare cases where that happens. But none of the girls have really done anything to warrant being liked yet, and this guy is just fun to watch. So
yeah, he's fun to watch. But then I think about the fact that he is supposed to be the protagonist of the series, and there is absolutely no point in which he will ever have any, sympathetic.
He already won
moments.
This show's over.
He already won.
He was born, and then the show ended. So you just got to watch the aftermath.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of boring for the fact that the main character will pull off everything perfectly every time, and no one can compete with him.
It's a weird idea for a show.
Yeah, like I feel like there are a lot of these, this is a funny synopsis that we'll put the entirety of in this light novel title. But then after like one episode, you're like, oh shit, we can't make a story out of this actually.
Yeah. I'll probably wind up dropping this sooner or later. But I've made it like 4 episodes in, which it passed my normal dropping point. So good for them, I guess.
Yeah, it's like kind of entertaining.
Yeah, kind of.
You just know that nothing is ever going to matter at
all. That's it for shows that we're both watching. There is one show I dropped that you like significantly more than I do, which I guess we can talk about because that is what I imagine is one of the more popular shows of the season. And that is The God of High School. Yeah, this isn't for me. And I knew that going into it. Like, I wanted to give it a shot because it's like the new shonen thing, and it's a Crunchyroll original, and like everybody's talking about it. But I fucking couldn't stand the main guy. Everything was so over the top. And I think I only made it 10 minutes in. I think I got to like slightly after. There were a whole bunch of muscly dudes being all muscly in the park. And then a girl shows up and she's like, "Hi, I'm a girl." And they're like, "We're like muscly people." And she's like, "I love muscles." And then like that is the end of the scene. And then there's a really, I thought it was poorly animated bike riding scene.
It was very stylistic.
It was very stylistic. Yeah, I will concede that. I don't think it looked good. And that mixed with just the fucking high-pitched cries of Spiky Hair Man, I couldn't do it anymore. And I pulled the plug 10 minutes in, and I hold nothing against anyone who continues on with the show, but I realized very early that it was not something I was going to enjoy watching.
Yeah, man, you didn't even get past like the opening sequence, basically.
I liked the guy who raps on his phone. That part I liked.
Yeah, I'm kind of conflicted about this show. Not that I dislike anything about it, but I'm struggling where to put it in the range of like B to A minus. Because I enjoy it, but there are like some really great qualities about it. But what might be considered the more important qualities are just very good, not great. So what's great about it? It is the best animated thing this season by far. One Piece happened to have some animation that blew everything else out of the water these past few weeks, but in terms of consistent quality throughout, this is definitely number one, which is why I assume Crunchyroll gave it a lot of money, because they fully financed it, as I mentioned earlier. Also, it's amusingly has Crunchyroll product placement everywhere on the show.
What?
Anytime there can be ads anywhere, there's the Crunchyroll logo.
Who would have foreseen this?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But, so the animation is incredible. The action choreography, just the direction. They put up a making of video, which I always find really interesting, and I really loved the one they did for this because they had like the director, he was like doing motion capture with some professional martial artists to get the movements just right, and then there's no like rotoscoping or CG or anything, so they're just drawing over or drawing from the reference of what they got from the motion capture. But that's how they get such incredible choreography in there, and the director is like Mappa's top dude for doing this kind of stuff, and he's incredibly skilled at spectacle and style. And I'll admit, the beginning of the show was very much style over substance, which is kind of similar to Tower of God. Like Tower of God's first episode was just pure atmosphere and no really plot to speak of. And this was kind of the same way with just pure style. So yeah, that's really where it excels. So the fact that it's a little lighter on plot means that, it's maybe doesn't deserve as high marks as I want to give it, just from how incredible a production it is and how much I appreciate those factors. But the plot, which is kind of silly at times, doesn't matter as much as the writing in regards to characters and their personalities and interactions. So they're kind of forming, a strong dynamic between the three lead characters. And I'm enjoying it a lot. I think they're delving into them a bit more. The balance from, action and spectacle is shifting over to the side of character drama and development more in each episode. So I appreciate that. I like the characters. A lot of the show is still tournament fighting, which isn't that interesting on its own. But it's a joy to watch because of how well it's executed. And now that we're starting to really dig into the characters and have real conflicts within their personalities, yeah, I think it definitely has staying power and has some potential going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be doing well. It's definitely one of the more popular shows this season, and I'm glad that a Crunchyroll original is getting some spotlight. But at the same time, there is another Crunchyroll original that you seem to have despised. And I would like to hear about Gibiate, because I would like to know what warranted the very rare F-.
So it's actually GB.
No, it's not. Don't say that.
Yeah, if you look at the kana, it's actually GB.
Oh, that's upsetting.
Yep. Upsetting is a word that could be applied to literally anything you could discuss regarding this series. Do you know anything about it at all?
I looked up pictures, and it looked like something Kate would watch.
Yeah, that's true.
That was enough for me.
So this show was like promoted ridiculously heavily, not just through Crunchyroll, but through like Anime Expo and Anime News Network. And its big draw was like, its original character designs by Yoshitaka Amano, who is, of course, the famous Japanese artist who, did all the classic Final Fantasy character designs and Vampire Hunter D, many other incredible pieces of artwork. Don't always translate to animation that well, because it's not a style that works for animation, so it has to be reimagined entirely to fit character designs. But they've got him on it. They've got, let's see, let me just... Like, I wrote up all my thoughts on the season in a forum post last night, so I feel like I should just basically read what I wrote for this series. So, yeah. So this series was so heavily promoted between AX and ANN, name-dropping its large collection of internationally renowned artists at every turn, that I finally gave in and checked it out despite every piece of footage looking like it was the worst garbage. Spoiler, it's actually just the worst garbage.
It's horribly reviewed. It doesn't seem like anyone likes it.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, and I didn't watch like the ANN footage of... They had like a special premiere event and they interviewed the main staff or whatever. And I just can't imagine like someone in anime journalism watching the first episode of that show and then being able to speak as if they weren't just like offended out of their minds.
Man, that's depressing.
So yeah, spoiler, it's actually just the worst garbage. So basically going through the big names that it's selling itself with. So I don't care how beautiful Amano's original artwork was. It's adapted into disgusting baby's first digital anime renditions of painfully outdated designs. I don't care what Serizawa has done for Resident Evil. His monster designs become hideous CG abominations that I'd compare to Berserk, except at least Berserk isn't incongruously clashing against equally ugly, but not remotely similarly 2D artwork.
Oh, God.
I don't care how much Koshiro innovated video game music programming in the 80s. That skill set doesn't transfer to modern film scoring as much as you'd like to believe, and the music did nothing to dispel the amateurishly awkward tone of the entire presentation.
This is a wonderful review.
I don't care if Yoshida Brothers are famous shamisen players or Sugizo is a famous guitarist. Their styles create a discordant mess of an opening song that not only fails to blend the two instruments it focuses on, but neglects to include the elements to make it a complete piece of theme music. They even threw in a Japanese doll maker, a bladesmith, a calligrapher, and the president of a shamisen company. You know who's relevant in making an anime good? Absolutely none of those people. So where do they stop with bringing in legends of respective industries? Why, the studio, director, and writer, of course, because who needs anyone competent in those departments? That explains why the animation, direction, and writing are all too abysmal to save this bloated mess of non-ideas resulting from attempting to throw together a bunch of famous names without any attempt to make a cohesive or coherent product out of it.
Oh, boy.
Buy an Amano art book or something, but stay the fuck away from this disaster.
Oh, boy.
So that was what I said about it.
Yeah, that's yep. I have no drive to watch that now.
Yeah, and it's not even like a so bad it's good. There's just nothing. It's just so dull and bland and offensive to watch.
Well, damn, man. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. And, like, I kind of knew it would be the case because they had some footage of it and, like, a panel at AX. And I'm like, man, this looks so bad. This is really
People
the
are
big
gonna watch
project
this.
that they're hyping. Yeah. It's, interestingly, about a pandemic.
Oh. That's okay. All right. Well, we're reaching the 2-hour mark. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to touch on or if you just wanted to head on over to recommendations.
Is there anything else to talk about?
Not that we were both
everything
watching,
else.
and the 2 other shows that
Yeah.
I have are not worth commenting on.
Yeah, everything else I'm watching is either a sequel or just started in spring and is back now. I will mention that the new season of Sword Art Online made it almost 9 minutes before it got into tentacle rape.
Oh. All right. I didn't know that was a thing that series had.
Oh, absolutely.
That's...
Have you watched any of that?
I
series?
watched the first 5 episodes of the original Sword Art Online. I watched all of Excel World.
I feel like by episode 5 they had tentacle rape the lolly.
That sounds vaguely familiar. Wow, that's... Huh.
Anyway, Sword Art Online has a lot of really gross fetishy sexual violence. And it's a problem.
That's not a thing that Excel World had any of. Watch that instead.
It still had the same kind of, sadistically rapey villain, because that's the only villain Kawahara knows how to write.
Quote unquote knows how to write.
Yeah.
I fucking hated his new series, The Isolator, I think it's called. It was just the same as the other 2, but more boring.
Of course. I mean, that's what sells.
I did like...
Did that have...
Excel World's one of the few light novel series I actually read. I liked that a lot more than the show, but I still like the show in general.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still watching Sword Art Online. I need to stop.
I don't even know if a second volume of The Isolator ever came out in English. So I remember we got... I think that might have been one of the last manga I reviewed for Fandom Post. But it wasn't good. So stay away from that. He's making money, though, with Sword Art. Everybody watches that.
Yeah. I'm watching it and I hate it.
I feel like that's a good chunk of the Sword Art fan base. Everybody just still watches
Yeah.
it and they all complain about it. They're like, wow, this sucks.
It's true.
I can't wait till next week.
True. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get myself.
I tried giving the, I guess it's a spin-off, a chance with the fucking pink girl.
Mm-hmm.
That was bad.
Yep, that was bad.
Fake loli.
Yeah. Yeah, Alicization, this arc that is now on its 4th core, is definitely the best Sword Art Online has ever been. But it's still not good. And the fact that I got this far when the first 4 cores of it were just bad, I don't understand why I'm still here.
Asuna's cute.
Anyway, recommendations.
Yeah, I've got 2. One of them I've definitely recommended before, but it just came out on Blu-ray 3 days ago. And that is O Maidens in Your Savage Season. It is a fantastic slice of life show focusing on 5 teenage girls in their journey through figuring out what sex is, and it's super sentimental and is just very Mario Kata in every aspect. So if you're into that and want a show centered on teenage girls that feels like it's written by a teenage girl, this is very much up your alley. The ending is slightly rushed because it has an original ending, but regardless, I liked it a lot, and I think the characters are all very enjoyable. But my second recommendation is actually one that I am surprised to see on Right Stuff right now, because I didn't realize that it was coming out again. But it looks like, it looks like Love Hina Again was just released on Blu-ray for some reason that I am unaware of.
Do you remember when we had an episode after the anime lockdown convention, and I mentioned that Discotek had licensed it?
That makes... Yep, it's coming back to me now. Well, Love Hina Again is out on Blu-ray, and if you are a fan of the original Love Hina series and want the sort of spin-off-y sequel, you can pick that up, because it introduces Keitaro's sister, ? She says she is his sister. That was a weird thing for me to say. But I can't remember if that's actually a legitimate thing or not. Either way, she's super cute, and it kind of mixes up the whole Naru love thing for a little while, and gets kind of incesty. But if you can put aside the same distaste for incest that Kestrel has showcased on this episode, you might enjoy this. It is definitely a fun continuation of the Love Hina series, and it's some nice throwback material for anyone interested in older harems.
I have a ton of recommendations.
Cool.
Yeah, so we put out an episode on Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Go listen to that. Watch that show. Also, in the episode before that, I recommended, of course, you should go to Right Stuff and purchase the $40,000 life-sized rim. I will reiterate that, but also mention that if you want to really cheap out, there is a 1/4 scale, very similar design for Rem that's only $1,500. So you can check that out if you're just like, want to blow some pocket change.
Pocket change of $1,500. How big are your pockets?
Yeah. Well, if you can buy a $40,000
That's
one.
true.
Also, if you want to spend $2,500 to $3,000 on anime memorabilia, I guess, there is a replica of Natsumi's scooter from Weathering With You that is going on sale.
Oh, man, that sounds like a good use of money.
Yeah, I mean, like, at least, you're spending $2,500 to $3,000 on a scooter instead of $40,000.
Wait, does it actually work?
On I don't know, probably not.
Oh my god,
but at
that'd
least
be crazy.
it's like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't fully read the article. I just saw the headline of you can buy Natsumi's scooter for $3,000.
What an interesting piece of memorabilia to put out.
Yeah, very specific. Yeah. Whatever.
You can get the front door of the store that they worked at.
Yes, exactly. There's like a site that sells like movie props. It's kind of that kind
Interesting.
of thing. Where,
I mean, I'd buy it.
Yeah. Buy some random piece of the set. Yeah, whatever. Also, Right Stuff's birthday sale is still ongoing for a few more days. It is wrapping up this weekend. Thousands of stuff on sale. Thousands of things, I should say. And, every day they have mega deals that are very highly discounted. And on the last day of each of these big sales, they have all the mega deals again. So check that out. That'll probably be, Saturday or Sunday. Also, something I just watched this past weekend was the Premiere Blu-ray Collector's Edition. If you like Trigger, if you like Gurren Lagann in particular, you should definitely watch this movie if you haven't already. And the Collector's Edition comes with a bunch of extras, a bunch of interviews with the director and staff, English voice cast. It has a couple of fully dubbed, like, prequel OVA short films. A bunch of great content on there. And the box set, it's a nice hard chipboard box with some nice embossing effects. And it has a big booklet with a bunch of material from the Japanese staff. There's some really cool insights into their creative process and their like thematic motifs that they use throughout it, because Imaishi and Nakashima are all about their motifs, and it's really cool to see just how far down they go. So check that out. It also comes with the full soundtrack by Hiroyuki Sawano.
He is a good composer.
Good. He is. So yeah, check that out. I also have a couple of manga recommendations of recent releases, or I don't know how recent one of them was, but I got it and read it recently. So the first one is Koi Monogatari, not to be confused with the Koi Monogatari, which is part of the Monogatari series. This one is a BL manga, I suppose. However, it subverts all of the fetishy BL tropes that you're used to, and there's not even like a romance to speak of yet. It's just a gay protagonist and a straight protagonist, and their dynamic as like a supportive friend who's trying to, you know, help this gay friend come out of his shell and express himself and find love. And it's really sweet and, yeah, really nuanced. It deals with gay characters and their relationships in a way that I really haven't seen from any of the BL that I've experienced so far. So I really appreciate that. So check that out. Also, a manga that just got its last volume released in English is something that I've recommended before, Blank Canvas, My So-Called Artist Journey, or Kaku Kaku Shikachika in Japanese. This is an autobiography of a famous shoujo mangaka who was responsible for Princess Jellyfish and a few other series. And it's really great. It's only 5 volumes long, so very easy to just grab them all and, you know, see the journey of a mangaka, basically. And it's got a lot of heart, and a lot of it is about her mentor in art and how he affected her life, and it's pretty obvious from the beginning that he's no longer alive. So there's some poignant moments in the end, and it's more powerful because you know that it's all a true story. And then completely unrelated to anything we talk about, there aren't movies anymore. That was a thing that used to exist. However, if you have Disney Plus and you have even a little interest in Broadway, watch Hamilton. It's really
I just watched that for the first time fucking like a week ago, and that shit's so good. Like, I didn't so understand at all. Like, what's all the hype about? And then I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, I get it now. It's so fucking good. I'm really glad that you watched that.
Yeah, we watched it like the same time.
Oh, it's so good. Becca like still plays the soundtrack every day, pretty much.
Yep. Yeah, all last weekend we just listened to the soundtrack on repeat. And I mean, it's, you know, it's a 2.5 hour musical. That's all songs. So it's a 2.5 hour soundtrack. But we managed to, I guess we were in the car enough that we listened to the entire thing twice. And then I listened to the entire thing twice again at work on
so
Monday.
Good. Oh my god.
So it's just been playing in my head.
Yeah, I completely understand.
So, DJ, you know what you have to do.
What do I have to do?
Rank all 46 songs, of course.
There are fucking 46 of them? Jesus Christ. Well, I know what first and last place would be, but I can't remember if I know the names of them.
The names are generally what you'd expect the names to be.
Okay. The Thomas Jefferson one. The what is it called? What Did I Miss? Is that the name? Okay, well that's last place.
Interesting.
I don't think that song fit. It was fine. Like it showed off the character very well. It just felt weird, like because it's right after intermission is over, and it's just like you just get off this like huge emotional kick, and then it's just like, what did I miss? And fucking David Andrews just dancing around. It's like, okay. And then the first one, I think it's the first Schuyler Sisters song that I can't remember the name of.
It's just the Schuyler.
Is that just what it's called? Yeah, that song, and like just the next 10 minutes after it. That's the entire like best part of Hamilton. IMO.
That's absolutely
cool.
true.
I'm glad that we're on the same
chunk
page
of it
here.
I mean, in terms of that's the best chunk of consistently great songs.
And then it goes to the fucking like it's all in reverse and shit. Oh my god,
that song, that's number one.
That was my favorite, like
so good
choreographed moment. But the song that preceded that was my favorite song.
Oh, okay, yeah, that whole sequence with the rewind, that is just a mastery of stage and live.
Hamilton is so fucking smart the way it's put together. I've never been that impressed by a musical before.
And like the more I listen to the songs, the more I realize just how many brilliant layers they put in there that you just would not pick up on from just a passing.
Like layering in musicals in general is a thing that a lot of different ones do. But Hamilton takes it to a level where you fucking have like 20 different songs and like pieces from everyone coming up at the same time. And it's just like, yo, this is ridiculous.
And like the lyrical content is so incredible. And man, Lin-Manuel Miranda is like, he is one of the most talented people
100%.
I can think of.
He's so smart.
Like he does everything. He writes the story, composes all the music, writes all the lyrics, is the lead actor, singer,
and this all came from a fucking like a book he read at an airport. You're just like, I'm gonna turn this into a musical. Like, good for you, man.
When he was on vacation from his last musical that he created and starred in, and then he's doing all these other, composition here, lyrics there, singing there, rapping there, acting there, directing there, writing there.
Oh my god, it's
There's
so good.
Many different areas.
So good. Everything about Hamilton's great. Watch it, please. Like, fuck, the hype is real. It's really real.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it either. I was all like, how good can a hip-hop musical about a founding father be? Really good. It's so good.
It's amazing. Like, I went to a lot of Broadway musicals in my childhood, and I've been to a few in my adult life, but this just has to be the most well put together.
It's definitely up there. I'd put it on like Singing in the Rain territory, and that's like an all-time great.
Right, absolutely.
All right.
Man, I'm glad.
Me too. I got to freak out about Hamilton.
That.
I was just like right before this podcast, Becca put on a fucking YouTube channel she found where like they modernize different musicals and shit, and so it was like a remake of Wait For It, and it was rad. That's another great song.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, it's so good. I love every song, every one of the 46. Like the only ones that would be on the bottom are just the ones that are like, let's move the sing along, and just aren't that creative or interesting.
Shout out to the King George songs as well, because I think my favorite moment in all of Hamilton is the second time King George shows up and he says, "I'm so blue," and then he like stomps his foot and then the lights turn blue, and I was like, this is hilarious.
Yep. Yeah, the first one of those is definitely the best. It's definitely the longest and has the most,
so well acted too. And, like all he does is fucking stand there, and it's so well acted.
And also one amazing falsetto note. But the second one has the what is it? Awesome! Wow!
Oh my god, it's so good.
And then the third, of course, Jesus Christ, this would be so much fun, or whatever. Everything about that.
So good. I'm gonna watch it again, like probably right now.
Yeah, I should probably watch it again. I've just been listening to the soundtrack over and over, so I feel like I'd get a lot more out of watching
definitely
it now that I'm so familiar with the songs.
All right.
Cool. All right. See you guys.
Good ending.
Thanks for listening to our Hamilton podcast. It's actually the best thing that you can watch.
Yeah,
right
definitely,
now.
100%.
So
forget about anime. Go watch Hamilton.
But if you want to hear us talk about anime more, check out our podcast everywhere you find podcasts, on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. We have an Alexa skill. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and fanpost.com. And I think Chris posts most of them on YouTube, except when they have music from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and Annie Clerk's Basement.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. And you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Fanpost Radio. Check us out there. Also, you can get in contact with us via email, fanpostradio@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at FullmetalKilma, and I don't really post anything ever.
And I am on Twitter at DJ No Style. I post a lot of things about my game, Lessons in Love, which you should download. It's totally free, and it's totally fun, and totally not an existential nightmare. Hooray!
All right, everyone. See you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for listening.